fire the living shit out of the Indiana Fever. So Indiana Fever, and it's been my belief that they will freaking fire everyone. And I do believe this. So if you're a Fever fan and you're hoping they'll keep Caitlin Clark, it's my belief that when push comes to shove, there's no way they can let her get away. They will fire everybody and start over. That's my belief. I cannot imagine the level of fumbling the bag that would have to be done.
Caitlin Clark and the Indiana Fever, a franchise at a crossroads. The Indiana Fever have a problem, and her name is Caitlin Clark. Not because she's failing, but because she's succeeding so wildly that the franchise may not be able to keep up. Clark isn't just a rookie, she's a phenomenon. And Fever management knows it. If she ever walks away, she won't just leave with her sneakers. She'll take half the fan base with her. Look around. Ticket sales are up, merchandise sales are exploding, and arenas that once felt empty.
Caitlin Clark meant to the WNBA.
Everything. She's changed the dynamic and history forever for women.
I see a lot of young girls here today, and I see how inspired they are, and she's even gotten me back into basketball.
I think she has brought attention. She did it for us. We had never watched, and we have become big fans.
I don't think her contributions have been extreme as what people think they are. I think the league in itself has been getting better, and that's really what we should be focusing on.
I think she's brought a lot of attention to the WNBA, and it's needed.
I think it's great. I actually grew up watching the WNBA, so it's really exciting to see a resurgence.
Meant everything. I never watched it before.
We are now buzzing. That's not coincidence, that's Clark. She's brought a wave of new fans who never cared about the WNBA before. For them, it's not about Indiana, it's about Caitlin. Wherever she goes, they go. The Fever know it too. Losing her would be like discovering a gold mine and then deciding to pave over it for a strip mall. Yet despite Clark being the league's best marketing tool in decades, her own team seems strangely hesitant to embrace her star power.
And there's enough votes here. This is a good test to see how bad this would be. Swag put this out, and it's starting to make the rounds. I voted. Okay, Fever fans, answer this. If Caitlin leaves Fever, would you still support the Fever? We got 1,145 votes here. Nope, my bags are packed is far and away lead.
Night after night, the pattern repeats. Teammates struggle, shoot poorly, and still get encouragement. But when Clark takes one big shot in crunch time, instant lecture. Fans see it, and they don't like it. They're not just frustrated with the losses, they're frustrated with what feels like a slow-motion sabotage of the one player who put the Fever back on the map. This isn't just about one season. It's about the future of the W.
We're letting her cook. Eat dinner.
I'm buying Powerade stock.
Is it a play on, like, women shouldn't? No, they didn't do it on purpose. There's no way. How you came up with this and not in the back of your minds, like, oh, they're just going to be like, oh, it's women. She just needs to cook. Didn't think about that in the PR room. I'm a big advocate.
WNBA. Stars like Magic Johnson, Michael Jordan, Serena Williams, and Tiger Woods weren't just great athletes, they were engines of growth for their sports. Caitlin Clark is in that same category. She's not only filling seats, she's reshaping the league's entire identity. That's why fans are blunt. If Caitlin leaves Indiana, they're gone too. Their loyalty isn't to the franchise, it's to her. And in a league where TV ratings, sponsorships, and attendance are finally trending upward, management can't afford to fumble this opportunity. Clark turned the Fever from a budget airline into first class overnight.
Listen, NBA players make 50% of revenues. WNBA players make 9%. And now the merch sales are up 500% and attendance is up, 40%. So they're going to get a raise. There's no question. And I don't really care that the previous 25 years they didn't make a lot of money or lost money. I don't care. They're in the middle of a negotiation and they're on a heater. So it doesn't really matter. I've said this before. I made an investment for 5 years and it lost money. And I got about 6 months left in the investment. And in the last 6 months, they started making cash. I'm not bailing on the investment. I want to finally get my money back. So they're going to get a raise. They're finally turning a corner. But and negotiating in any business is all about current momentum. It's not about 12 years ago. It's about current momentum.
The smart play? Let her lead. Build around her. Because if she walks, she won't be leaving alone. Caitlin Clark, the franchise, the fandom, the flashpoint. Combine tense press conferences, awkward body language, and questionable late-game decisions, and you've got a recipe for something bigger than frustration. You've got a fan base that feels betrayed. The problem isn't just losing games. It's the sense that Caitlin Clark, the very player being marketed on billboards, commercials, and Gatorade bottles, is being sidelined when it matters most. Fans didn't sign up for Caitlin Clark, decoy. They came for Caitlin Clark, superstar. And when they don't see that on the court, it doesn't feel like strategy. It feels like sabotage. So what happens if she leaves? The answer is simple. The WNBA risks its biggest fan exodus since the rise of streaming TV. Today, it's record-breaking crowds and sold-out arenas. Tomorrow, it could...
Caitlin Clark is a media driver. She is a ratings driver. I think about the NBA post Magic and Larry, the NBA post Michael Jordan, tennis post Serena Williams, golf post Tiger Woods, right? There are certain athletes that drive the sport more than others. And that's not to take away from anyone else drafted tonight. That's not to take away from the other incredible superstars in the WNBA, right?
The empty seats and a TV audience flipping back to reruns of American Ninja Warrior. That's how much Clark means. At just 23 years old, she's become the most recognizable name in women's sports. Her long-range shooting, her confidence under pressure, and her charisma have transformed not just a team, but the league itself. And here's the kicker, fans aren't bluffing. They're already making contingency plans. Some are scouting Phoenix. Others are eyeing Las Vegas. There are even watch parties being set up in cities where Clark doesn't play, just in case she gets traded. These aren't casual fans. They're not tied to logos, colors, or mascots. They're tied to Caitlin. This isn't fandom. It's leverage. Fever management had one job: don't ruin the golden goose. Instead, they've managed to frustrate the very people who filled arenas for the first time in years. The truth is simple. Fans don't owe Indiana anything. They didn't show up for the team, they showed up for Caitlin. And if she leaves, they'll leave too. Because she isn't just a player anymore. She's the product, the face, the engine powering the entire ecosystem. Take her out of Indiana, and the Fever slip back into irrelevance. Put her in another city, and that city instantly...
Research don't bother me, but why do you take a shot at the Golden Goose, Caitlin Clark? You guys were flying before she arrived on one of those airlines that made you pay for a cup of water. One of those airlines that is the planes are the color of a highlighter. Now you're flying private. Okay, if you're in a band and you're staying at the Motel 6 and you add a band member and now you're at the Ritz-Carlton, keep your issues to yourself.
He becomes the heartbeat of the WNBA. If management doesn't realize that soon, they're not just risking a bad season. They're risking an extinction-level event for the franchise. And this time, it won't be a fever dream. It'll be reality. Right now, the Indiana Fever's biggest opponent isn't another team, it's their own game plan. Head coach Stephanie White seems more focused on shrinking Caitlin Clark than unleashing her. The message, whether intentional or not, comes through loud and clear. Clark was never her pick, and the strategy feels less like building up a superstar and more like managing her into irrelevance. The irony? Clark isn't built for the back seat. She's not a role player. She's the engine, the GPS, and the fuel that powers the car. Without her, the thing doesn't even start. Yet game after game, you can see the hesitations, drawn-out play calls, awkward body language, questionable substitutions. It looks less like coaching and more like resistance. From day one, the rhetoric was about embracing her game. But the reality has been different. Clark standing in the corner while teammates with the green light throw up miss after miss. Endless shots, no buckets. Meanwhile, when Clark still manages to deliver 15 assists, 23 points.
23. I'm going to pass on that question, actually. WNBA star Caitlin Clark is transforming women's sports. She fills arenas night after night, and her games have smashed TV viewership records. And if you watch Clark play, well, it's not hard to figure out why. She makes deep three-pointers look easy. And like all stars, wants the ball when the game is on.
Viral highlights, the response is silence. No recognition, no celebration. Just another stiff post-game breakdown about spacing and letting the game come. And that's the problem. Caitlin Clark wasn't drafted to stand quietly in the corner. She was brought in to transform the team, and in many ways, the league. Before Clark, the WNBA was grinding for attention. After Clark, it's breaking attendance records, drawing sponsors, and capturing headlines. That's not an incremental change. That's a 180-degree turn. And trying to downplay it isn't just bad coaching, it's self-destruction. When the WNBA launched in 1997, women's sports were still fighting to be taken seriously. Crowds were modest, media coverage was light, and the idea of buying a women's basketball jersey was foreign to most fans. Fast forward to today, and it's a different world. Men who once scoffed at the league are now wearing Caitlin Clark's number 22 jersey proudly, to games, to the grocery store, even to the gas station. It's no longer uncool to follow the WNBA. In fact, for the first time in history, it's cool to be a fan. And that shift is because of Caitlin Clark. She's not just a basketball player. She's a brand, a revolution, and the league's golden goose, laying media engagement eggs faster than the
And I think it's like something where if you are a star in the WNBA, like Caitlin Clark, she's probably one of the few people that anybody you can mention to somebody that knows sports will know Caitlin Clark.
Yeah.
She's getting a ton of deals. Coke, Gatorade, you name Nike deals. Now, I know a lot of the other players, like if you're the 12th person on the team, you're probably not making that much money, but I just feel like coming out like this, what are they going to bargain with? What is their like thing they're coming with that's going to change their salary? And that's what I was trying to figure out. I couldn't understand because they're already rev sharing. The NBA already gives them money, compensates for the loss they make every year because the
WNBA can cash them. From middle school kids to retirees, from casual viewers to diehard hoop fans, Caitlin has drawn in an audience that cuts across every age group and every demographic. If the marketing team had its way, Clark would have a camera strapped to her 24/7. She's become the face of women's basketball, the athlete who finally turned indifference into interest. But here's the disconnect. On the court, she's sometimes treated like just another role player. And fans see right through it. The biggest flashpoint? The Olympics. On June 7th, fresh off a 30-point performance with 7 three-pointers, Clark's name was left off Team USA's roster. Why? Not because she wasn't good enough, but because decision-makers decided she needed to wait her turn, and because veteran Diana Taurasi was promised a farewell tour. Imagine that, an Olympic roster spot handed out as a retirement gift. Fans called it outrageous. Clark took the snub with grace, saying she'd make the team next time. But her supporters didn't forget. To them, it was another example.
Female bird. She had Van Slugenhagen on her. She was like, I'm offended that y'all have white defensive players guarding me, and she put her in the torture chamber. You should have known from her little face that she didn't want this matchup from the beginning. Caitlin reminds me of what Dame does. If anybody ever noticed, her first shot always a three. First quarter, second quarter, third. She sets the distance on her first shot, so you have to guard her there. Now she can do whatever she wants to do. She's playing a chess game. That's what Dame does. He starts his game off, he's going to shoot a deep-ass three to
of the establishment resisting the very player who had changed everything for the league. Meanwhile, Fever head coach Stephanie White has leaned on the same coaching cliches: stick to the plan, everyone has a role, don't skip steps. Yet the only step that seems skipped is the most obvious one, letting Caitlin Clark be Caitlin Clark. And the results speak for themselves. The Fever aren't racking up wins. They're racking up confusion, miscommunication, and fans who are increasingly fed up with watching the league's brightest star shoved into a system that doesn't fit. Because here's the truth, Clark isn't just another player. She's the reason the seats are filled, the reason ratings are climbing, the reason sponsors are paying attention. Without her, the Fever are just another team. With her, they're a phenomenon.
WNBA before Caitlin Clark and the WNBA after Caitlin Clark. Describe these two worlds.
Oh, entirely different. 180, The WNBA before started in 1997, the year after the Atlanta Olympics, and was launched into a time when women's sports was still not taken seriously by a lot of, people. And some of those same guys now, if we want to talk about before and after, some of those same guys, or guys like them, are the ones buying the 22 jerseys, wearing them to games, Major, but also to the grocery store and to the gas station. It is now cool to be a WNBA fan, and it is cool to love Caitlin Clark, and the spotlight that is finally shining on these.
And if management doesn't adjust soon, they risk pushing her, and her massive fan base, right out the door. The hype around Caitlin Clark wasn't just about basketball. It was about people tuning in who had never once watched a women's game before. She brought in a whole new audience. And that would be fine, if the Fever were winning. Instead, they've delivered late-game collapses on the court and meltdowns among the fan base off of it. Mid-season, the story is clear, Clark didn't walk into a franchise ready to elevate her. But she's not just another rookie trying to fit in. Caitlin Clark is a movement. And movements don't wait politely for permission to shine. They break through resistance. They take over. If Indiana doesn't wake up soon, they won't be remembered as the team that launched a dynasty. They'll be remembered as a trivia question: which franchise fumbled Caitlin Clark?